Here we are in Dubai, SBR Boxing with MB, Johnny Nelson, and the longest running cruiserweight of all time. Johnny, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Good to see you here in Dubai for the IBA Pro Official Tournament.
What an event.
What an event. Last night, Pulev, Gassiev. Now that was a very, very interesting fight. I didn't see it going that way, I'll be honest with you.
No, I didn't even. I didn't, if I'm honest, before the fight, people were kind of torn between Gassiev or Pulev, and I thought, I'm going Gassiev only because he bought Usyk twice. Usyk's a very clever fight. He gave Usyk a good run for his money in both fights. And I saw Pulev. Pulev's at 44 years old. So I was watching him against AJ the other day, and then against Klitschko. I thought he's had a hard, longer life. So therefore, the fresher 32-year-old, regardless of what you think him coming up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, I thought he might just have a bit too much. I didn't think he'd knock him out, if I'm honest. And if I'm honest with you, I thought he'd win. And then the beginning of the first round, I thought, oh God, I'm actually Moran here because Pulev was good tall stance. I thought, I can see a couple of shots here you can get off. But then you forget he's 44 years old. So there's certain shots he couldn't get off because he's 44 years old. Then Pulev, and then Gassiev, the shot he got off was the kind of shots that were available to Pulev, but he was 44 years old. So you haven't got that switch twitch to do it.
Of course, and like you're saying, he didn't have the right guard up, and the hit was clean with the hook, and that's the hook that took him down.
Gassiev was very relaxed at first. I thought the pace is up, this guy's like taking it easy so he can step up the second round. And when he let the shots go, his arms, the shots were relaxed shots, whereas Pulev was stiff, he was strong, he was broad, he was on it. And so you could see that it started to tilt slowly but surely. So again, I think the right man won. Pulev absolutely gutted. But you know what? On paper, he's the WBA regular heavyweight champion. And so, and if he walks away from our game, he can say, well, that was me. I boxed the best. And he eventually got a heavyweight title.
Exactly, and I feel like he's done his reign now. He's done his time in the division. Gassiev has the opportunity now.
Yeah.
So the doors are open. What are the prospects? We've got potential Moses Atamu, could be in the UK.
The landscape's changing. You've got Moses Atamu, Fabio
Woodley.
You know, all the heavyweights are changing now. It's all changing around this today. Ring Magazine have announced that Tyson Fury and AJ will happen. Not when, but it will happen.
Just 2026.
But we've had this argument and conversation forever and a day, and for one reason or another, it's not happened. A great way to steal the headlines.
Completely, after this,
and that's exactly what happened. But I hope, if it is going to happen, it will happen under their watch, under Ring Magazine watch. But the landscape of the heavyweights is changing. You've got the young bucks coming through. And we're looking at our side of the water. These American fighters that are there to also. I think Lawrence Cole is in at #1 with the WBC, which is he's done really well.
Yeah.
So you just want to see what he's like at a test when he's tested against one of the top 5 of the heavyweights. And I know he's been sparring with Jake Paul and amongst other heavyweights. I think I'd put sparring in inverted commas, but as I say, the heavyweight landscape's changing massively.
But Carl Froch said that as well. He's like, the sparring is probably tapping, a body shot here and there. It's probably not full on sparring.
Oh, without a doubt. And any fighter, you see the public, they hear the word sparring partner, that's it. There's levels of sparring partner. If you're fighting with intent to be a champion, you go in there and you get someone that emulates your opponent and gives you the same shellacking, the same pressure, the same fight pressure as much as you possibly can in the fight itself. And you've got to deal with it. You've got to negate it. You've got to figure out how it's going to go. I don't believe in a billion years that Lawrence Cole and the two sparring partners put the same amount of pressure you would do regularly. I remember sparring with Fabrice Teoso. He was a former world light heavyweight champion, and I wasn't champion. He was, and I can remember in the gym in Toulouse in France, he was sparring. I'd been there with him for about 2 or 3 months, and I was battering him daily. And it got to a point where the coach said to me, "Look, you've got to have a day off tomorrow. Tell him you've hurt your hand, and take it easy with him." So he's telling me as a sparring partner to take it easy with him. So I kind of eased off. And then we were, the same with Axel Schultz. You've got to put it on him. So there's no way in a billion years Lawrence Okoli and the others have put that kind of pressure on Jake Paul, because Jake Paul would have been getting knocked out every day.
In the media, we would have been seeing black eye. We would have been seeing this guy's taking some bruises.
He's got a bit of a kink on his nose.
Yeah, this guy's taking a little bit of punishment.
Then he'll be pulling his shots. And I don't know if, ethically, I don't know if these boys will admit to it now, but they'll tell you down the line, especially if Jake Paul gets sparked out next Friday. I think what will happen then, don't be surprised if Jake Paul says, you know what, I've done it, I've climbed the mountain, I've done the best I can, I'm all right, I've made a shed load of money, I've lifted the profile of boxing, which he has done.
Yep.
I think he's a very clever businessman and very brave businessman too, putting his neck on the line. Don't be surprised to say that's me done, depending on the fashion of the loss.
Brave is the word that I picked up there, because Amir Khan yesterday said that Jake Paul, he's got some serious balls to be doing this, jumping in with former heavyweight champ Anthony Joshua and thinking this is going to be an easy ride.
Well, and this is the thing. If you box, you understand the dangers. It's people that don't box that don't understand the dangers. It's like going to watch a Rocky movie and the civilians, when they come out, they're all wanting to fight like the Rocky, not realising as soon as you get hit on the nose, you think, "Ooh, I don't actually like this." So fighters will look at Jake Paul and think, you're really brave because you're going to get a right beating. Yeah. And I'm thinking, does he know how much of a beating he's going to get? Yeah. And the public, his fans, will think, no, because I had 1 or 2 people say Jake Paul's going to turn him over. The only way Jake Paul turns over Anthony Joshua is if Anthony Joshua doesn't turn up. It's nothing to do with Jake Paul. True. It's about AJ. And so, and because AJ's resume tells you everything. Regardless of what stage he's at in his career, his resume says it all. For Jake Paul, his doesn't. No. In the UK, he wouldn't even be a British champion.
No.
But he has world class appeal.
Yeah, it's the social media hype and persona. He's got the 30 million followers on Instagram, and he's live on TikTok with his brother Logan Paul. They have an audience. And I think this is where he's accelerated in kind of like world boxing, because he's not on a world stage platform as a fighter.
Listen, I respect that, because, and the thing is, there's a thing called boxing snobbery where, it's hard for us traditional fighters to give him credit where credit's due, but I give him massive credit, because what he's done is he's changing the mindset of a lot of young fighters coming through. Because when you're a young fighter coming through, you're depending on your promoter or maybe your manager to promote, to say, to get you out there, to make you famous. And that manager, that promoter's got 10, 20 fighters. And if he has a favour, he's the one who's going to concentrate on, not you. And each year he'll be saying, oh, next year I'll get you this. And so you're depending on him to lift your profile, to lift your opportunities. Sure. But then what Jake Paul has done, he's done that himself. And how's he done that? Very simple. He's taken advantage of these. He's got his mates to follow him about, build his profile up. So now he's famous for being an influencer. And so everybody knows who he is before he's even done anything. Yeah. So therefore, when he goes to fight, as soon as he said I'm fighting, instantly he's selling 10,000 tickets. Then promoters are chasing him. Whereas it's usually the other way around, you're chasing a promoter to do a job. Exactly. So everybody will want him on the bill because he sells tickets. Doesn't matter how good or bad you think he is. Eddie Hearn and Jake Paul, I'm quite sure there's no love lost. But I'm telling you now, I bet Eddie Hearn would have him on in a heartbeat if he could have him as a fighter. But Jake Paul doesn't need an Eddie. He doesn't need a Frank. He doesn't need a Dana. He doesn't need any of those guys.
Like you said, he sells it himself, because on social media he seems to have this presence where people are following him, and he's got a young audience.
Because it's something that is grown. So young fighters coming through need to learn. You know what? He's giving you a blueprint to put yourself in a position and change the way fighters and managers and promoters change that relationship. Because historically in our sport, you always hear the sad stories of fighters getting ripped off, fighters ending up absolutely skint with nothing. The promoters are living in a big plush house and driving a Rolls Royce and living life. And even though it's the fighters that put their lives on the line, I understand promoters when they do the job, they lose money also, but they've got more chance of making and earning that money than the fighters have, even though the fighters are the ones that put their lives on the line. So what Jake has done is he's inspired youngsters to use their brain and not just leave it in the lap of the promoter. Or the manager to guide the business side of their career.
we're in a tech-savvy environment now with young people, and like you said, they're born now, aren't they?
Yeah.
On their phones and devices, so they picked up that social media, the TikTok climate, where they're able to facilitate on that and get followers and hype themselves up and make YouTube videos about themselves and really expose themselves to not mainstream media but mainstream public, and that's how I think they are getting this popularity that seems to be growing with these fighters.
Yeah, and it's just things change. Things change, and again, and Jake is dragging the youngsters into the future.
He is completely agree with you there, Johnny. Moving on to actual heavyweight boxing and not an exhibition bout. Deontay Wilder, present also here at the IBA, has been called out by Alexander Usyk.
Not just Alexander.
Well, yeah, we saw at the weigh-in, Derek going nose to nose with him at the weigh-in. But what are your thoughts on this? So Alexander Usyk is essentially called him out. I found this quite interesting because Deontay has not been heavily active at the moment, and he said that Deontay's a good fighter. I want to fight Deontay.
Okay, so commercially, out there, that's the biggest fight out there left for Alexander Usyk. And people are like, well, you got turnover, X, Y, Z. Whoever fights Wilder with the next one or two fights, Wilder's got to be smart and pick the best fight that makes him the most money. Because at the moment, his stock is still high. Not as high as it was, but his stock is still high. He's still a name. Regardless of where his career is, he's still a name. But after the next fight, or the fact that it won't be. So therefore, Usyk knows that. Usyk could go towards Moses or Yardley, but he'll never make he'll never make that kind of money. He'll never make big money. That's why he gave up the belts. He can give up the belts because everybody knows he's a champion. He's just gifted you, and so that's why he gave up those belts, and that's why when so therefore he's thinking, I'm going to go where the best business move is for me. I can fight all these guys and not get paid half as much, and the risk will be more than it would be for this guy where he's at this stage of his career. I can fight that guy there and get paid twice, triple, and it can sell. And so this is a business move, and in years to come, you know, you can say I boxed the best in my division. Look at Enzo Maccarinelli. He boxed Roy Jones at the back end of his career. You know, he said it's on his record. He doesn't matter if it wasn't Roy Jones, the Roy Jones of old. It's on the back end of his career, and Usyk can say I boxed in years to come. I boxed them all. Look what I've done.
Literally at this point, he will say I've literally boxed them all.
Yeah.
Usyk now, with this going forward, obviously he's selecting Deontay Wilder to fight. But doesn't Deontay Wilder need a tune-up fight first before he takes on Alexander Usyk?
Again, there's the risk. There's that risk. Did you think you'd get turned over against Zhilei Zhang? You know, did you think you'd get turned over
Didn't
against...
see that one coming.
Yeah, against Joseph Parker. You know, so all of a sudden he just got old overnight. He wasn't no longer fighter. This week he's been saying, I'm back. People are taking advantage because they think I'm done because I've lost a couple of times. And I get that. And he said that after Derek put it on him at the public weigh-in for Gassiev and Pulev. And he's pretty cool. I think he's staying a couple of doors down. The guy's all right, you know.
Yeah,
he's all right, and I get it. And there's a persona that you've got to switch on when you're out in public. The guy's all right. Yes. And unfortunately, in our sport, when you're in the sport, you've got to go through the motions of the business. And he understands where he's at. He also understands he sells. You know, he's here and the place is lit up. You know, people are making noise.
True.
You've got Terence Crawford here. You've got Manny Pacquiao here. Yeah. Deontay Wilder's the one they're talking about the most. And so he understands his value. He understands the business side of it. And he's made a shed load of money too, so he's comfortable that way. But he still loves our sport. He
does. A tune-up fight that makes sense for me, for him in America before he fights Usyk, is Andy Ruiz.
I think it's a risk. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
I know he's been inactive.
If anybody, I'd do Derek Chisora.
Really?
Yeah. I wouldn't do...
Here in the UK?
He can anyway he wants. That's what I'm saying. It'd actually be a bigger, safer fight for him because Derek fights one way So if you've not got it and you're fragile, Derek will turn you over. So he thinks he has got it. We'll get him with Derek. It's a big fight, big money fight. He gets him with Andy Ruiz. Don't make that mistake. Just because Andy Ruiz has not been active, but Andy Ruiz can box. He's got fast hands. Andy Ruiz is a name and still a dangerous name. This is why people are conveniently developing amnesia with him, because he's dangerous still. Regardless, and so or they don't know what's actually there. If that's the case, why wouldn't you put Andy Ruiz in with the likes of Moses Atamo, Fabio, these young guns coming up? They won't do that because they're thinking we need this guy to grow old overnight before we risk our fighters in there with him.
True,
and that's why. So Andy Ruiz, unfortunately, is in the who needs him club. He's in that club where people don't want to fight him. They're not sure if they'll beat him or not. But there's a risk that, or maybe we'll just get a softer touch right there. And that's the one he is. Fortunately, he made a hell of a lot of money after his success over Anthony Joshua. And it set him up in life. And I hope it sets him up for life.
Yeah.
But Andy Ruiz, I wouldn't do that as a warm-up for Deontay Wilder. I just wouldn't do it.
On the topic of vacating belts, obviously Usyk has had to give up the WBO belt, WBC as well. Is that gone now for him, or has he still got the WC belt?
I don't know, but the WBC aren't doing themselves any favours.
Well, I'm going to come to this in a second.
They're not doing themselves any favour, and regardless, there's very few fighters that are in a position that are bigger than the belt. So the belts don't mean jack diddly in this situation. When it comes to Usyk, the belts don't mean anything. The belts should go to him and say, "Can we put our belt on your shoulder? Can we put our belt around your waist?" He's one of the few fighters that can do that. And the governing bodies do not help themselves. And they might help themselves today, but they're ruining it for themselves tomorrow. And this is the problem. When they're stripping belts off fighters, you're thinking, why would you do that?
And I'm only saying that because he was undisputed at heavyweight. Yeah. And recently, Mauricio Sulaiman has just taken the WBC and stripped Terence Crawford from that, who was undisputed at super middleweight.
So last night, Pulev was a regular WBA champion. What does that mean? What does that, the regular WBA, what does that mean? So you're diluting it. So you're confusing people that are non-boxing fans. Well, who is a heavyweight champion in the world? If you go to a person that kind of knows boxing right now, and you say to him, who is a heavyweight champion in the world? They're going to say Alexander Usyk. It doesn't matter who's giving him what. And if they say, the WBA or WBC have stripped him and who are they? He's the champion.
It's true. I think when you see who has won the fights, who's been consistent, for me, he's the champ. He's the heavyweight champ.
And that's what. And for us, we know boxing. It's people that don't know boxing. They're the fans you're trying to get to build a popularity of our sport. And even them, if they know a little bit, who's heavyweight champion? Isn't it that Usyk guy?
Yeah.
So the governing bodies don't do themselves any favours. But they're probably willing to take that hit and to take that bit of criticism for the short term.
So talking about the WBC and the sanctioning fees, this is the issue that Terence Crawford is having at the minute, because he's saying, well, hold on, I don't need to pay $300,000. I'm still champ.
Yeah, so I think the issue is that all the governing bodies wanted, they'd agreed a fee, a sanctioning fee. He said the WBC wanted more. And he said, well, why should I pay you more? Because we've agreed a deal. I ain't paying you that. And I actually agree with him. I agree with him because, well, why? Why is that the case? And he was courageous enough to say, keep it. I ain't doing that. You're not doing a Robin Hood on me.
Yeah.
And I know Floyd Mayweather pulled him and said, like Wallace said, pay the fee. Why? Yeah. Again, if it's like you go to London. I'm a Yorkshire boy. That cup of coffee in Sheffield costs £2. The same cup of coffee in London costs £10. Now, if I pay it, it'll always cost £10. If I'm like, nah, man, I'll make my own coffee at home. I'll bring one down from Sheffield. You've got to set precedents. Say, no, that don't work for me. What you're doing is wrong. And if I agree with it, it's going to become the norm. And what Terence has said, no, they've all charged me X, Y, Z. You've now come along with this. I don't agree with you. I'm not making it normal. I'm not making it acceptable. So other fighters may have accepted it. What you're doing is wrong. And the WBC are not doing themselves any favour. Justifiably, come on, stand there and say, why are you charging more than everybody else? Why? Now, you can say our history in the sport, blah, 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 blah. Terence is the one that's putting his life on the line. Now, and the other thing is this, that the WBC have been very lenient with Canelo Alvarez all the years when he's been involved in. how impatient have they been with Terence in a heartbeat?
Hugely. He's only had it a couple of months.
Yeah. How impatient? How obvious? How blatant is it? What does it look like? So how do you explain that?
Yeah.
But sometimes these people aren't accountable. So unless you talk about it and you actually bring it to the forefront, then at least it's out there now. People are like, well, why are you? Why are you so lenient with Crawford? Why have you not given this guy's only had it a few months and you stripped him? What's all that about? There must be other reasons, but to me, I agree with him. I think good on him. Good
Same.
boy.
So he's deserved of it for me.
Yeah.
So I think he should retain it. Talking about Terence Crawford, he was last night in the corner of Nico Ali Walsh, who unanimously won his fight here, his 6-rounder fight here. I think he did. I think Nico Ali Walsh at middleweight is great. I think he did really well.
He got a few boos from the crowd. Might be I think he's a decent fighter. He's only a 6-rounder.
Yeah.
He's still got a lot of learning to do. I've not made my mind up about him yet. Fortunately, he has that Ali tag around him, so which is why he's out here. Which is why he's in a position of fortune in regards to opportunity. I'm not completely sold on him yet, but we'll see. And again, I like that camaraderie. The camaraderie where Terence said, "I'll come with you. I'll be in your corner, man," which is a good thing. And Terence is just so humble, and he's setting an example for all the others out there. Just because you've done X, Y, Z doesn't mean all of a sudden you become an alien to everybody else.
100%. With Nico Ali Walsh and him returning to the US, there are a few fights I would like to see him in. For example, I know he's only done the 6-rounder, but I would like to see him take some more serious opponents when he gets back to the US. Shane Mosley Jr., for example.
I think there's a bit more learning for him to do first. Just he's got to earn his stripes, because I was watching him. There's a few fundamental mistakes I still see there. I still see a few vulnerabilities there. So if that is the case, I just think if you really want to build this kid, and build him to his full potential. I don't know what his full potential is. They've got to be smart. Picking the right opponents also helps develop him. And so I wouldn't push him too far. I wouldn't push him too fast. I'd take your time with him. Be smart about the selection process.
He is still young, 25. So he's got some time.
He's got time. So we can all have that wish list, and like it or not, if you're connected to the name of Ali, then you're always going to be scrutinised and watched and criticised, until you become your own man.
I mean, I'm sure Bob has a setup for him anyway. He's with Top Rank. So I'm sure they have some fights aligned for him next year and 2027 that will kind of correlate and work well with him and whatever division he wants to fight in. I know he was saying super welterweight to me if he doesn't stay at middleweight. So he did mention that to me at the press conference.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. And Bob's he's no fool. He's experienced in our line of work to make the right moves. And as I said, I think it was Angelo Dundee said it, the matchmaking is as important as a fight in a fighter's career than anything.
Completely. Right, we're going to quickly move on to the film Giant that's coming out next month. Your stablemate Naz, obviously this is his biopic.
Yeah.
This is a film about him, his life. Trainer Brendan Ingle, played by Pierce Brosnan, your trainer as well. What are your thoughts on this film coming out next month?
Well, I've not watched any of it. There's been little snippets here and there, and I've been invited to go watch them, and I've not watched any of it because I want to sit down in Leicester Square on the 9th when they do the premiere, on the 8th when they do the premiere, or 7th when it is, and I want to enjoy it for the first time like everybody else. And see the story. Now, the difference is the public see what they see.
Yeah.
I know a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes. So the story will probably look different to me, and probably it'll probably make it a bit. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to think, wow, see how they've recreated this. I remember Pierce they were filming scenes just outside Bradford. That's where they set up their the ring in their studio. And it was the last week of filming, and Pierce was there, and he's pretty cool, man. He was like asking questions about Brendan, what's he do, and little habits, when Brendan have his glasses there, or he said Brendan have a cup of milk and a piece of cake and his little treat, and he was asking me all these little things, and I'm quite sure he did it with Dominic and John. Asked them stuff that little trinkets, little things that made it look more authentic. Anyway, it was last couple of days gone, and. He said, we finished filming this week. I'll be going home. And I thought he lived in London. I said, when we been staying, he said, oh, just outside Bradford. Oh my God, I bet you can't wait to get back to London. He said, I don't live in London. I live in Malibu. I'm like, oh, damn. So you went 3 months in Bradford.
Wow.
No offense to anybody living in Bradford.
That's a big
Malibu,
difference,
I'm like, damn. But he's done a good job. And I know Dominic's seen the film and Dominic is impressed.
Yeah, you said Dom was quite keen on it.
Yeah, and so if Dominic, he's not an easy one to please, and that's his dad.
If he's cool with it,
yeah,
then
he's cool with it. I think Naz had seen it. They showed Naz, and I'm like, all right. So I'm just curious.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see how they depicted, how they told the story. I'm curious.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. I didn't know Pierce Brosnan was a boxing fan. I saw him ringside at Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr.
He was ringside when Naz boxed. I think it was Kevin Kelly.
Was he?
Yeah, he was
okay.
there.
So he is an avid boxing fan.
Yeah, he's a boxing fan.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's going to be a great one to watch. Thanks for your time today, Johnny Nelson.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.